We can do that here. We have the people here to do it. Let's do it. I also want to just say something quickly about Calais, which is that Emmaus Oxford, which I work for, as I say, went to Calais in July. The generous citizens of Oxfordshire donated 7 tons of goods for the people in the refugee camp there, which we distributed by hand. We're going again in September, the end of September. So if you want to make donations, then that would be very welcome. Please go to our website, Emmaus Oxford's website, and find out what to give. Do find out what to give, though. Your helping needs to be accurate. Look at the list, but we'll be delighted to take your donations over. And if you're able to donate cash, that's even better, because then we can buy in bulk the things that are needed most. I want to make chippy to finish. I want to make one last appeal, which is giving you a room up for a refugee or asylum seeker is brilliant stuff, and we can hopefully house some of the destitute, homeless asylum seekers who are already on our streets here and who aren't even being allowed to stay in the night shelter, which is shameful stuff. We can start to house some of those people. But if we're to cope with the Syrian families, we're going to need more than rooms in people's houses. So if any of you out there know of somebody with an empty house, or perhaps have an empty house yourself, or know about a church hall or some other building that has plenty of space, please come to us and tell us about it, and we will try to make that available to the Syrian families that the Oxford City Council is now going to say that it wants. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. And we are going to hear from the leader of Oxford City Council, Bob Price, in a second. First, I want to pass the microphone to Krish Kandaya, who is going to tell us about how we can host unaccompanied minors. This is children who are in desperate need of somewhere to stay in our homes. Is that right, Chris?
That's right. Good afternoon, Oxford. It's great to see you. Just as an act of compassion, some people have been holding signs up for a long time. If you're near them, could you give them a little bit of a shoulder massage just to kind of help them keep going? I'm a migrant. My father was from Malaysia, his father was from Sri Lanka, my mother was from India, and her father was from Ireland. And you could probably guess that from the way that I look. But it's great to be here. I am a foster carer with Oxford County Council. And we've been fostering for the past 10 years, and we love it. It's one of the best things that our family does. We have 3 birth children, an adopted daughter, and then at the moment 2 foster children. And sadly, hundreds of children have already arrived in the UK and are not being able to be looked after in families. They're being put into institutions. In Kent alone, 700 unaccompanied under-18s are here, and they're not being treated well. And so I think that's a really practical way that we can step up and offer hospitality, welcome to those in need. Many of these children have come from places like Syria and Eritrea. They've seen and experienced things you'd hope no child would have to see. And now they're being looked after in an institution. Friends, if I died or my wife died, there's no way we'd want our kids staying in some of the places that these young people have to stay in. And so we're saying, look, it's great that we're saying welcome. That is fantastic. But how far is that welcome willing to go? They often say about us Englishmen, and I put myself in this category, an Englishman's home is his castle. Well, let's prove it's going to be different in Oxford. For an Oxfordian, let our homes be a hospital. Let us show the hospitality that these children need. We got a call once at 4:45 on a Friday afternoon. If you've got anything to do with social services, you'll know that's a dangerous time to answer the phone. Social workers do a great job, but they need to have a weekend, of course. And there's 15 minutes until the office is going to close. So they say, Chris, can you help us? We've got someone and he needs somewhere to stay. We know you've already got a placement. Can you take another one? And we say, well, what can you tell us about him? And they say, we can't tell you much. All we can tell you is he's a biter. That is not what you want to hear. And we're kind of umming and ahhing. Are we going to take him in or not? What's that going to mean for the rest of our family? Where's he been? What's he been exposed to? And then another part of my brain kicks in and says, biter is an inadequate description of a human person. You cannot be summarised by the worst thing you've ever done or the worst thing that's ever happened to you. These are not migrants, they're children. They're in need of love and care and compassion. And so, I ask you to do this simple thing. There are going to be coming to our nation more children, under 18s and younger too, who are going to need loving families. Now, you can't just volunteer and have one turn up tomorrow, because these are vulnerable young people. There's a process to be gone through. We can't risk that a child who's already might have experienced trauma in their lives is put in a dangerous situation again. Even though you look like lovely people, you still need to be properly checked. And so there's a process. You have to go through the same processes to become a foster parent. And that's a rigorous process, rightly so. But if you start now, maybe when the government actually turns up with some children, we'll be ready. And we'll be able to offer them the home that they need. I run a charity called Home for Good. And if you just Google us, Home for Good, and put /refugees, you can sign up to say that you're interested. And then we can help the local authorities, and if you're not from Oxford, we can help you link up with other authorities in your area. So far, since Friday, 1,800 people have said they're willing to do it. I think it's great. I think it's great you've turned out this afternoon. I think it's brilliant that you're here. Let's step it up, though. Let's offer genuine, ongoing help that's going to help these kids for as long as they need it. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, so we've heard a challenge to the City Council. We've got the leader of City Council, Councillor Bob Price, here. You've had a couple of minutes to think about your response. You've also been quoted in the Oxford Mail saying cities across the country must step up to the plate. So come on, what's your plan for Oxford here?
Where's the refugee voices?
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for coming. It's a remarkable illustration of the compassion which there is in Oxford. And Oxford does welcome refugees. If you go to any primary school in the city, you will find people from refugee families who have come from Kosovo, from Bosnia, from the Sudan, from Libya, all across the city. And we are a city which welcomes refugees. On Wednesday this week, Yvette Cooper, the Shadow Home Secretary, sent round a message to all Labour Council leaders asking us to signify our willingness to take refugees from Syria, and we responded from Oxford immediately to say yes, we would, and that is something which we're now carrying through. We have a very clear commitment from all parties on the council. It's not just the Labour Party, which I represent. The Green Party and Liberal Democrats are with us as well, so it's a united front from the City Council. On Friday afternoon, we contacted the DCLG, the Communities and Local Government Department, to say that we wanted to be notified immediately of any decisions taken by central government about the financing of the system, because our problem, as you can imagine, in Oxford is a combination of availability of housing and the cost of housing, and the way in which housing benefit and the government's shameful rules on benefit cuts and the local housing association rates hit us really, really hard. So on Monday, we've already spoken to somebody informally at the Home Office. We also intend to talk to the Home Office about the UNHCR scheme, which Ryan referred to, which we hadn't been notified about before, but we will be looking at that as well. The last thing we will seek to do next week is to bring all the organisations together which actually are involved in this whole crisis, and see how we can coordinate action across the city using City Council resources that we have for that purpose. we need a very clear commitment, I think, from the council, which will be given next week in relation to the host scheme, because that's something which we can help with, and also in relation to the general point which Chris has made about unaccompanied minors, because there's something again which the City Council, together with the county colleagues, can actually help with. So there's a very clear message that we will do what we can to support all these schemes, all the willingness of individuals in the city to actually develop a response which is worthy of Oxford to this huge crisis, the scale of which is massive and beyond anything we've seen for the last 30 years. The last thing I'd like to say before handing over to the next speaker is that so far as the council is concerned, we would very much like to have any suggestions from people in the city about accommodation that's available. We do, as a council, have very few council houses available, and of course a big waiting list. But if there are houses which you know about, which actually we could use in terms of renting, that's something we'd like to have access to. We are very much strapped for finding accommodation for our own homeless families. So any suggestions from you would be welcome and very rapidly followed up this coming week. So thank you all for your support. Thank you for keeping in touch, and make certain that you maintain your commitment to solve this crisis, this humanitarian crisis, which really needs a response of a fundamental type. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I know there's a lot of people here who need to get on. We are going to try and get wrapped up here by just after 4 o'clock, okay? But we've got some more people who you really must listen to. And the first of these is Dr. Sheikh Ramzi, who's here to represent Oxford's Muslim community.
God bless you all. God bless you all. My brothers and sisters, I greet you with the Islamic greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. May peace and blessing of Almighty God be upon you all. As you know, the situation in Syria is disaster, heartbreaking, truly heartbreaking. The ISIS, the evil Daesh, killing him there. When they come out, they go and die inside the lorries. And after that, the children being washed on the shore of the seas. This is unimaginable to understand it in the 21st century. As a representative of Muslim community in the UK and Oxford, I would like to thank you and say God bless you for your help. These are our brothers and sisters and our children. These are human. We have love and we have moral responsibility for these children. It could have happened to us, and I'm sure the Muslim would have helped. I thank you again, and God bless you for all. If you can help as much as you can, especially the accommodation. And I say 3 times we want to say, refugees, welcome! Refugees, welcome! Refugees, welcome! Refugees, welcome! Thank you and God bless.
Thank you. Yeah. We actually have one of Oxford's refugees from Syria right here, from Aleppo. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you want to introduce him?
This is my very good friend Abbas, who is the first Syrian refugee in Oxford, and he was so moved to see so many people here supporting him. He, like me, just didn't realize so many people care, and this is wonderful for him to see and for him to tell his other family back home. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
You do realize you've got over 1,000 people welcoming you here to Oxford. How does that feel?
I'm not expect them. But I have to say thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. I'm proud of you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
Thank you so much. Now Now, we've heard from one of our elected representatives. We have a couple of others to quickly cross-examine. The European Union has not had a very impressive response to this. We have two of our MEPs here, and we want to hear very quickly from you two as well about what you think Europe can do. First off, Catherine Bearder from the Lib Dems.
Thank you so much. I can't tell you how proud I am of Oxford. So many of you here, and including, there's a sign down there from Banbury. So well done, Banbury too. Let's hear it for them. As a politician, my inbox, my Twitter account, my Facebook has been bombarded with the most appalling messages that we are full up, we don't want them here. And I tell you, seeing you people here today restores my faith in humanity. I have to look at these and think, really? Is that what the Brits are all about? And I know in my heart it isn't, and I've spoken to Lib Dems and Tim Farron, our new leader, and said, we cannot allow this. But as a politician, it's a bit scary to put your head above the parapet. And we have done as Liberal Democrats. And on Thursday, I was in the jungle in Calais with the BBC, and we had a phone in, and it was, again, some awful remarks. And I think people standing up is what we need to do. And the people that I spoke to in the jungle had not only walked from Afghanistan or Eritrea or Sudan or Syria, they were willing and wanted to get into the UK. And as awful as France was, the Calais that they've been dumped into, this awful place, made it more stronger to them. And they said to me, we want to go to England. We know England will welcome us. And I sit there and think, oh, I know what's in my inbox. Really, I hope so. So I now can go back to them and say, yes, Oxford will welcome you. England will welcome you. Now, turning out here is brilliant. And I know many of you have emailed your MP and David Cameron. And I want you to also email the heads of government of every 28 European countries. We are in this together. Europe is not just there for the good times. It's a family of nations, and families stick together. David Cameron is going to announce that we will go to Syria or to Lebanon and Jordan and bring refugees from there. But there are thousands and thousands already on European